Good morning, everybody. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. It's the 24th of February, 2026, and we're back. We're going to be talking about a lot. Let me just turn the notifications off. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things today, and this is going to be interactive today because I'm going to ask you some questions that you're going to need to answer in chat so we can get this started. First question. If you had $1,000 today, would you buy Doge or would you buy Solana? That's the question. And we're going to answer that later on in the show. But a few good mornings. Good mornings to Mags. KB is here. Kishan is here. Hidden Agenda's in here. It is like a morgue in here. Okay. We have a lot of people over on Binance Square. Kim is in chat. Sabrine. Who else is here? King Star is here. Good morning to you all. I hope you're doing incredibly well. Now, I didn't do an awful lot of tweeting or posting yesterday because I went out into the wild world and I got myself a new network configuration. New switch, new cables, the entire shebang. If we don't go down today, we fixed the problem that we've had for months, which is intermittent disconnects. I'm doing okay, Kim. I think if the internet holds up for this stream, we finally fixed the problem. So, I think we may be having a reasonably good chance of not having problems today. Good morning, Danny. I hope you're incredibly well. Now, before we begin, I have some massively exciting news that I can't share with you, but I want to get off my chest. We have the biggest ever Crypto Warehouse in the Trenches interview being recorded on Thursday. Now, the reason I'm telling you now is it's probably going to drop on Friday because it's quite time sensitive. The person that we're interviewing is fairly well known. You probably all know him. You've probably all seen him. Brogan's met him in Dubai. We reached out and asked for an interview a few weeks ago. It's Thursday. So we're going to interview somebody absolutely massive. Biggest interview we've done on the channel. And it is on Thursday. So we're not going to broadcast it live. We're going to record it and I'm going to edit it and put it live on Friday. But trust me, tune in on Friday because you are not going to want to miss this. Now, before we begin and get into what we're going to talk about, we've got quite a few X-Files to get through. We're going to go and cover a few different things. We're going to talk about Grayscale. We're going to talk about XRP, the usage of the XRPL. We're going to talk about Binance US. We're going to talk about a DPEG that happened yesterday. We're going to talk about Doge or Sol, which is the question I've asked you to put into chat. And then we're going to finish talking about Terra Luna, which we haven't talked about on this channel probably for about 2 or 3 years. That's the gist of it. Mags, we're going down on crypto, but not on the stream, I hope. I like that. That's very true. The thing is, there's a lot more things I can do if I can trust the stream. There's a lot more things we can do if it holds up. And I just hope we can. Now then, I said yesterday that I'm very bearish short term. And I'm fairly bullish in the medium term. And I've talked a lot about a rally. Okay? Now, the rally will happen. It's happened in every other cycle, and we will get a rally. Now, time-wise, we're at the end of February. The rally has to happen and be over by summer. So that leaves March, April, May for the rally. I'm inclined to think the way the markets are looking right now is that we're going to rally in March. Okay? We've come down too quickly and too far. And it's all well and good, Peter Schiff or some other clown sitting there telling you that Bitcoin's going to $10,000. It's not. This is not the fault of Donald Trump, okay? This is not the fault of Gary Gensler being replaced. There are a load of people. It's like being in a village, you know, where you've got the guy in the castle and he's got little lights on and little silhouettes walking around and everyone thinks he's Dracula or he's making Frankenstein. So they get some pitchforks and they go after the next target, okay? You can blame whoever you want, but this is the natural course of things, okay? If you want to go out one day and barbecue a goat and the following day it rains, is it cause and effect? No. Well, 2,000-3,000 years ago it was, and that's what we used to do. We used to cook the odd goat, pray to the gods, and it would rain. It is not the fault of Donald Trump. It is not the fault of Gary Gensler. People are just trying to find reasons why this is happening. This is just the cycle. This is what happens. We did probably now 6 or 7 weeks ago, we said exactly what was going to happen. Now, what we got wrong was the depth of the drop. That's what we got wrong. We said we'd get to maybe 74,000, then we'd come back up into the 80s, and then we'd have our proper dump. We came a lot lower than that. We then put out another video showing you the different bottoms for Bitcoin. We've got one of those bottoms being $63,000. Hello. We've also got one of our bottoms at $50,400. So we are not doing anything which is outside of the norms. And that's the problem you've got at the minute with the people that are talking about things on Twitter, is they're not giving you sound advice. This was always going to happen. It's not nice. Correct. It's happened a lot sooner than many people expected. We've gone a lot deeper than people expected. But there you go. Now then, Bitcoin is at 63,000. We are down exactly 50% now from the all-time high. We are down at the previous all-time high. Check and check, okay? The next leg down, and a lot of people have been saying this, people are saying 55,000. There's a lot of crypto influencers talking about 55,000. The Oracle himself, I think, says about 54 or 55,000. He knows more about this than I do. I'm going for 50,400. That's my bottom. Maybe a wick to 49,600. That's my bottom. It's not going to happen today, I don't believe. I think it's going to happen in the summer or at the beginning of the summer, sometime around the summertime. We're going to crater, and then come October, November, December, we start to rally back towards the upside. We always talk about packing your bags for the end of September, don't we? We say that on the channel every September, pack your bags. This is no different. Okay, whether we're going into the end of a bull run, whether we're going into the end of a bear market, you have your bags packed by the end of September. We've given that advice in 2022, 2023, 2024 and 2025. And guess what? We're going to give that advice in 2026 as well. So, bit of a tangent there. Ethereum is coming in at 18,240. We could easily see a $1,200 Ethereum, but I don't see this as a problem. The fear and greed, according to this, is 11. I think it's actually 5. I don't feel like the market and the industry is anywhere near as bad as it was in 2022. 2022 was horrific, okay? We had Solana at $8. We had XRP, and I think XRP was below 30 cents. I think Cardano was below 20 cents. The world was ending in 2022. I don't get that feeling. Now, maybe I'm desensitized, but I think a $63,000 Bitcoin, I think that's pretty decent. I remember it being $15,000 or $16,000. So maybe I'm just tainted by the past. Maybe I'm not feeling it anymore. Maybe I've become numb. Who knows? Other alts, I don't think XRP is in any danger of falling to 30 cents again. I don't think BNB is going to go back to $200. Now, I did say yesterday, didn't I, that I was going to buy Solana below $80. We're approaching the price to buy Solana, which is about $75, $76. I'm going to buy more here. I'm also going to buy more when we go below $70. And I'm also going to buy more if we go below $50. And the further down we go, the more I'm going to buy, because I'm buying a dollar amount. So if I buy $200, $250 today, I'll get 3. If I buy $250 at $50, I'm getting 5. I'm going to buy this all the way down. And again, even if we don't go to the $500 or $600 in the next bull run, which I do think we will do, even if we go back to $200 or $300, it's a pretty good return for the next 3 years. Cardano is now at 25 cents. Cardano is taking an absolute pasting right now. Hype is down at $26.50. I'm going to stick to my target of $22 to $24. That's, I think, a really good price for Hype. I don't hold any, and I'm not planning to buy any, but believe you me, if we go below $20, I am going to be buying in. Now, I need to keep an eye on chat. and make sure everybody is still with us in chat. There's a few people looking at the Bitcoin trade, a few people saying hello. Right, gainers and losers. There's an awful lot of chatter about Pippin being a scam because apparently one wallet holds 85 to 90% of the supply. So keep your eye on Pippin. Anything that has a scent of anything like that, I wouldn't go near. Go and use not crypto bubbles. There's a few tools out there that will show you the density of wallets that hold tokens. Maybe go and have a look at them. Decred is up. Pi, again, we're not going to see many winners today. We are going to see many losers. Bitcoin Cash is trash. Should be called Bitcoin Trash, in my opinion. Pump.fun, World Liberty Finance. Again, two coins that I have picked. I do like World Liberty Financial, and I do think Pump.fun is going to make an awful lot of money over the coming months, especially as we come out of the bear market. Ethena is down, Zcash is down, Layer Zero. It's just a sea of red. I'm not going to carry on too much. I don't want to depress you all too much. Let's get through some X-Files, and then we can get into the meat of the show. So far, so good, by the way. I've not had any notifications that the stream has gone down. So this is to do with the FUD that's going round. Now, I mentioned before about men with pitchforks. It's actually 11:11. It's a good time to talk about this. In every cycle, in every bear market, people look for people to blame. And sometimes those attacks are paid for attacks, where people will say, will you FUD Binance? Will you FUD World Liberty Financial? Will you FUD Solana? The usual kind of things. Now, you might turn around and say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Those things don't happen. You're just making it up to defend Binance. You're making it up to defend World Liberty Financial. I remember when it came out that the head of and I'm not going to mention the names, the head of a very large crypto publishing website had been paid, I think it was about $2.6 or $2.1 million from Sam Bankman-Fried. So not the editor or editor-in-chief, the owner of that publication had been paid. And when you kind of go back and look at that publication's articles and you kind of work back before the payment and then after the payment, there was a massive shift in the way that that paper talked about CZ and talked about Binance. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's hard facts. This is an industry where people will pay to bash other people. It goes on in other industries as well. But it's easy to attack the apex predator. It's easy to go after Binance. It's easy to go after World Liberty Finance because it's Trump. Of course it is. They're the easy targets. You'll get a lot of traction. Now, this was the first one. Binance explaining basically how they try and strip as much try and strip as many bad actors out of the sex as possible. You can only catch them after the event. That's something else that's important. If somebody goes out and buys 50 different Binance accounts and then starts to do trading, and then it transpires that that person is from a banned country, Binance will ban them pretty quickly. But the fact that it happened is where the FUD comes in. But this person did this and this person did this, but they still block them. It's very difficult to know. If you've got 75,000 people in a football stadium, there's normally about 20 or 30 people getting arrested. Does that mean you shouldn't let anybody watch the football match? Or should you let everybody watch the football match and then when somebody does something wrong, you kick them out? That needs to be understood, because what the problem I've got with the left and the right is everything is final and everything is black and white, and nothing is black and white, especially in crypto. Everything is a shade of grey. Now, another thing which ties into this quite nicely is you will recognise a logo on there. This was the first week of the streaming. I don't know what it is. Is it a competition? But the first week of this was last week, I think last week, or maybe the week before. And there we are with our little crown on our head. So I published this, and basically we started in about June 2022, which I think is about 3.5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And we had a couple. We actually still have the pad of paper that we wrote things down on. The microphones, the cameras, that kind of stuff. Getting noticed, that was a big one. And then somehow get some kind of way of getting into Binance. And I've still got the original message from the guy at Binance who reached out to us to ask us if we wanted to start adding content to Binance. I've still got that. Still got records of things. Another one of those things which I've missed off here because we've only got 500 characters is we had a list of people that we wanted to interview for the channel. And the person we're interviewing on Thursday is on that list. We had a list of people we wanted to meet. CZ was on that list. So a lot of things 3.5 years ago, which were probably impossible for us to do 3.5 years ago, are now kind of in a kind of chain reaction, all coming true, which is pretty. I'm not a believer in this, hippie manifestation type of thing. I just believe if you work well and you are consistent, you sometimes get breaks. Now, this is something which is quite sad. Step we've covered since we began. We've also covered and we've talked to Solana Floor many times. Remora Markets, just for your information, we were going to get them on in the trenches. Now, again, you talk about happy coincidences. We were going to get Remora Markets on this week. And on Thursday, we were going to interview Remora Markets because they do synthesize stocks. And the issue with that is, of course, they got hacked in January. $25 million, I think, left. They've lost everything, and they are going to have to shutter and close down, which is really, really sad. So, Step Finance, Solana Floor, and Remora Markets will be no more, and it is a very sad state of affairs because they're not bad actors. They're really good actors, and they're really good guys. In fact, they sponsored one of our Binance streams when we first started out. I think they gave us like $50 or $25 to give away on one of our streams. And that was, again, back on Binance Live days, probably 2.5 years ago now. And we were, we're not big now. We were a lot smaller then. And it's just sad to see. Now, this is interesting. I like people who do a little bit of different research. Priced in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down 47%. It's now down 50%. Historically, buying at a 50% drawdown has a 90% win rate over 1 year with a return of 95%. At 70% correction, which I think is my $50,000 range, by the way, that's a 100% win rate. Never lost. And what I want you to take from this is what we spoke about yesterday with the investment plan, the investment idea. Always have some cash on the side. Never be 100% into anything. And I did say for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I am now dollar cost averaging back into Bitcoin, which I haven't done probably for about, probably since August last year. I decided to stop when we kind of broke above 110,000. But I've started again. I am also dollar cost averaging into Solana because I'm underweight on it. And what you should be doing at this very moment in time is, and this is a good rule of thumb as well, I suppose. We in the past, we would never sit here and say, right, never use previous all-time highs as a benchmark because they're probably never going to go back to all-time highs. I think if you're looking at the top 15 or top 12 tokens, excluding stablecoins, and you said, right, where did Ethereum get to? Where did Bitcoin get to? Where did Solana and XRP get to? Where did BNB get to? And use that as a kind of benchmark to say to yourself, right, which one of these tokens did I not get enough of? Which of the top 10 tokens, maybe even put Link in there and Hype in there as well, which one of these am I underweight on? And then look at them and say, right, I am going to make a plan between now and maybe September to dollar cost into those tokens that I don't hold enough of. Now, again, if you don't hold 60% Bitcoin, you should be dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. That's it. Just buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice, of course. But if you're 80-85% in Bitcoin, which is a really strong portfolio, and by the way, if you are 85% in Bitcoin, you're probably only down 50% now. If you're 85% in alts, you're likely to be 90% down, 80% down. So Bitcoin is that preservation of crypto wealth. Bitcoin is the number one asset, and that should be your number one token in your portfolio. But if you're fully invested in Bitcoin and you are 80%, 90% in Bitcoin, and you do want to get some alts, check, then this is a good time to start thinking about it between now and September. Clearly, we could go a lot lower. If Bitcoin comes down another 20%, you are going to be getting another 30, 40, 50% off your alts. We could easily see Solana below $50. We could easily see BNB back at maybe $400. So dollar cost averaging in means that if I'm wrong, if you're wrong, if the timing is wrong, and we do for whatever reason have a stratospheric rise from June or July onwards, you haven't missed the boat. That's why you dollar cost average in. And as he says, you lock in. But I like this advice because it's not the kind of thing you see everywhere and anywhere. It's just somebody that's gone away to say, when should I start to dollar cost average in? It's kind of now. Now then, DCA on Bitcoin says, Kishan, absolutely agree. I'm actually getting quite excited about it because I've said to you for many, many months, I'm happy with the amount of Bitcoin that I've got. And when we were running, and I thought, if we do run to 150,000, and then we do correct back down towards 70,000, 75,000, I'm probably not going to get a chance to get maybe another Bitcoin, for example. Now we're coming down a bit more, I'm starting to think to myself, I should probably start thinking about adding the next, say, half a Bitcoin to my portfolio. That's what I'm thinking about now. Not, should I sell? Should I sell? Should have been a conversation that I had to myself in October last year, but I didn't. Now then, this is an interesting little story that's running on the internet, and that is there is a chap out there called, hang on, let me bring them both up. So we have Zach XBT. We've covered him many, many times. On February the 26th, which is Thursday, he is going to be releasing a major investigation into one of the most profitable businesses in crypto, alleging multiple employees abused internal data for insider trading over an extended period, blah, blah, blah. Now, there is a massive Polymarket bet going on right now as to who this is. These are the top 10 highest revenue generating protocols. And again, I'm not bashing any one of these at all. What I'm saying is there's all these wonderful narratives going around in crypto, wonderful little storylines going around in crypto, and this just happens to be one because Zach's come out and said, I'm going to drop a bombshell report. And everyone's now trying to work out who it is. So this is the list of the tokens. Now, the one I'm thinking it isn't on here. I think it's Meteora. And the reason I think it's Meteora is back in January, there was the launch. Sorry, back in January 2025, there was the launch of Melania and the launch of Trump Coin, and there was a lot of bad kind of press around Jupiter and Meteora about the fact there was a lot of insider trading and there was, the usual kind of stuff. And I think it's Meteora. They do make a lot of money, especially on Solana. There is some history there of people making a lot of money out of it, and they're not on this list. And because everybody seems to think it's Hyperliquid, everybody seems to think it's Pump.Fun, I seem to think it's Meteora because of all of these bad actors, they're the ones who I know for a fact have been up to something, because I think the CEO stepped down. The CEO, I think, was very good friends with Meow, who's the CEO of Jupiter, and between them, it kind of didn't, it ended well. But anyway, if you see it, we will find out on Thursday who is the bad actor. And again, it's just a little bit of crypto Twitter cinema. That's the way to look at it. Now, Chainlink's Taylor Lindman has been appointed Chief Counsel of the US SEC's Crypto Task Force. Taylor served as Chainlink Labs Deputy General Counsel for over 5 years, and in his new role will help drive clarity to accelerate crypto innovation in America. Again, the scale and speed at which crypto people are moving into positions of power is, I wouldn't say it was frightening, but we're a year into Trump's 4 years. We've got the Clarity Act, the Genius Act. We've got all of these things going on as far as that's concerned. We've got more ETFs being approved. We've had the way that ETFs being approved absolutely changed. We've got people being put into the SEC who are ex-crypto people. This is a massive push by America to get into crypto. I'm just wondering if it's necessary to have this many crypto people involved in the American administration. This is one of my favorite things when I say, how many NFTs are too many NFTs? How many crypto people do we need involved in decision-making in the American administration? I'm just putting it out there because we're going to get Kevin is going to be made the head of the SEC, the chair of the SEC. He's pro-crypto. So they're going around putting crypto people in charge of the American economy. And much as I like crypto, I don't know whether it's such a good idea. I'd say the same thing if it was AI. Okay? I was thinking about this before. If somebody started bashing Coinbase or another exchange and it was an unwarranted attack, I would defend them because I think it's an unwarranted attack. But I think sometimes people can just go through without any criticism. And I just think, do we really want everybody in every position to be crypto? Because then you become blinded to other opportunities. Where are the AI people? How is AI being used? Where's the task force to look at AI? We've got the task force for crypto. We've got the SEC. We've got the CFTC. We've got the CME going 24/5. Where are the people talking about AI? Because if we're going to talk about a dramatic effect on the fortunes of America, it's probably going to be AI more than crypto. Crypto is just going to enable the transactions to flow seamlessly, but AI is going to be the real revolution. So where are the AI people? We've got crypto roundtables, DeFi roundtables, stablecoin roundtables. Where's the AI roundtables? Now, I know that Sam Altman and the people are getting involved. I'm just a bit worried we're going too crypto heavy. And I can't believe I've said that, but there you go. Now, Bitcoin drops to 62,800 as tariffs, ETF outflows pressure the crypto market. It's all part of the cycle. 60,000 is key to the bulls. I totally agree. Bitcoin could dip to 50,000 amid a bear cross pattern. That's my bottom. I think we are near a local bottom. I really do. So we've gone to 62.7. What are we right now? But we're above. We're 63.2 now, aren't we? 62. Yeah, we're at 63.2, 63.3. So we have bounced back above 63,000. But this is one of those things where the bounces are weak. We're coming down 3 or 4%, and we're not really bouncing back. Now then. Did you see that? That was a fractional disconnect on the stream. Did anybody else see that? It was instantaneous. Could be the software. Could be the streaming software. Exactly, Mags. I think it was. I think it was the stream. See, now, quick lag and back. Exactly. So, the new network is faster. So that's a good thing. That's a positive. But we're still getting these DCs. I'm going to have to change the software that I use. I'm probably going to have to go and use Streamalabs, which means everything's going to have to change. And I might have to go offline for a few days to get all of that working. Maybe I do that this weekend. I don't know. Anyway, so where we were. So we're having very, very weak rallies after these drops. Very, very weak rallies. And that just makes me think that we're going to have one last capitulation. Maybe we wick below 60,000 and then we have a recovery. We have a few things coming up which are going to push us down there. We've got Iran, I'm going to call it. Flock of seagulls. I think that is going to be the trigger to push us down. Now, I don't think that anything that Trump does is going to be priced into the market. I don't think 63,000 is the Iran situation priced in. I don't. I don't. And we can look at, preemptive strikes. We can look at the fact this is a telegraph strike. Yes. If we go back a year when we had the Iran-Israel thing, if you remember that, we absolutely crashed and then we came bouncing straight back. So I think that's going to be the catalyst to push us below 60. And then I'm hoping that we get some kind of relief rally. We are going to get the Clarity Act on the 1st of March. That is, 5 days away. So we could have a very, very interesting 5 days. So I do think we go down towards 60,000, which is possible. And then I think we're going to have a rally. We need a rally, in my opinion. We need some kind of rally to the upside. And again, the Oracle talks about it. I talk about it. Historically, it happens. We just seem to be... I think we're waiting for one last capitulation, okay? Because I'm not feeling this dread that I felt 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it was awful. When was Solana going to stop falling? When was companies going to stop going out of business? And it just seemed to go on for maybe 3 or 4 months of just absolute pain. And it was the start of 2022, where we are now. We had FTX and Luna and all those kind of things. And it just felt like it was never going to happen. And then what did we do? We cratered for a long time. And maybe this final capitulation pushes us down. March kicks in. We have the rally. 75, 80, whatever it might be, 85,000 bull market support band. Then we come back down for the summer. And then I spend the entire summer talking to you about Pokemon cards, Manchester United. We talk about what movies are coming out. And then October comes around. Then we get the midterms, exciting times. And then November, December, I do think we finish the year higher, which I think is about $90,000. I've said this before. We'll move on. XRP is now averaging 2.5 million daily successful payments, up from 1.5 million last quarter. Again, a lot of people seem to think that XRP just exists in this bubble and doesn't do anything. And I think people can get blinded. Okay. And again, I've spent all this stream going off on tangents. But I think it's important. Never buy in wholly to one project. And if you do, the only one you should buy wholly into is Bitcoin. That's the only one, my only exception. But if you're a Solana maxi, or if you're an Ethereum maxi, the immediate response is to reject any other evidence put in front of you. Now, my definition of an intelligent person is this. If somebody presents me with new in social media and the internet nowadays, is you're not allowed to do that, okay? But if somebody says to me, XRP are now processing 2.5 million daily transactions, I would say, that's news to me. I didn't realize it was that high, number one. And number two, why isn't this being shouted from the rooftops on crypto Twitter? And I think the thing is, the Solana maxis, the ETH maxis, and the Bitcoin maxis are all just so much louder, okay? Brad's damaged his reputation by trying to get Trump to put XRP into the strategic crypto reserve. That's damaged him. And he got kicked out of the White House for a week. And now he's back. And he's behaving. But XRP. But this is then a case of, well, is XRP undervalued if it's already doing this many transactions? So the price action has been unfavorable, but so has everything else. We did hit 284. We've come back down to 140, so we are down 50% on XRP. Now, again, another thing to point out here, Bitcoin's down 50%, XRP is down 50%. It's matching it. You look at Solana. Let's see how long this is out for. That was 5 seconds. I'm going to have to change my software. So, the argument here is XRP has struggled over the last few months, we know that, but they're doing 2.5 million transactions a day. That is pretty impressive for something that hasn't really been announced. Again, the price of a token does not reflect the price now than at any point in its history, and it's at $8. Chainlink is at $8 now. Maybe it's even lower. What is Chainlink at now? $8.20, okay? That is a criminal price. Is Chainlink a better project than Canton, Monero, Cardano maybe? I would say so at this moment in time. So possibly you should be looking at a $12 billion valuation if we're doing like for like. That would put Chainlink at least $16. It's undervalued, but it's undervalued based on many of the metrics. I think this is something to take serious note of. People are going to bash XRP the same way they bash Binance, the same way they bash World Liberty Financial. They are there to be targeted because Brad isn't liked by that many people after the stunt he pulled. But 2.5 million transactions a day is not to be sniffed at. It's decent, and that will become 5, then it will become 10, then you're talking about 50 million transactions a day, and then suddenly people are wondering why XRP is at $5, $10, $15. They're going to scale, and they're going to scale rapidly, and they're going to become a huge American institution. They just are. The same way Chainlink is, the same way Tether and Circle are going to be. They're going to become the next, what do they call them? FANG, which is Facebook, Amazon, Apple, is it Nvidia and Google, maybe, FANG? The next crypto innovation is going to be the Circles, the Tethers, the people like XRPs. They're going to be the next FANG, the next crypto FANG. You're going to get an AI FANG. Interesting. And the reason I find this interesting is that even I am struggling to be positive about the Cardano ecosystem. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Bitcoin transactions. We talked about Cardano being able to sign them. We talked about a DeFi element coming to it. We've got Midnight. We've got a lot of really good stuff. That really good stuff needs momentum, and they lack momentum. They are great at announcements. They are great at pushing out really cool tech. They are terrible at momentum. Even Charles, probably, he understands that's what's missing. The momentum behind it. You've got Jason Crow, Crypto Crow, and then you don't really have many other people talking about Cardano. And his views have dropped off a cliff, as of everybody else's. So Cardano doesn't have anybody talking about it. XRP doesn't have anybody talking about it. So they're fighting an uphill battle against the Solana crowd and the Sui crowd and things like that. And as I said, I'm finding it hard, not because what they're doing is really good. It's so slow. They are so slow. It's like that monkey meme where he goes, oh no, because you know they make an announcement in January and nothing will come of it till August. Nothing will happen. ADA and earn Bitcoin, or you can stake Bitcoin and earn ADA. It's all working now. And then the price will rocket up to about 80 or 90 cents. And then they'll tumbleweed for another 6 months. And then the TVL will hit, I don't know, 2 billion. And then they'll rank back up again. And they're so stop-start in their approach. And that's my criticism of Cardano. And when Charles turned around and said, I'm not going to stream on X anymore, talk on X anymore, that was a terrible decision. I think he's going to live to regret that. He is front and face Cardano. If he stops appearing on X and only does it on YouTube, he's losing 95% of his audience. But having said all of that, the Grayscale Smart Contract Fund has 20% allocation in Cardano. Grayscale are wrong. They are not infallible, but they are right more often than not. And I think it's a good point for this. So the allocation has increased from 18.5% to 20.2% this year. The fund has an AUM of 18 million or 1.8 million? Is there a dot there? 1.8 million. It's not even a very big fund. However, still, they are throwing their weight behind Cardano. And again, I don't see anything on here further than Solana, Ethereum, and Cardano. Okay, yes, you've got Avalanche down here, HBAR down here, and Sui, but this is a really solid kind of smart contract portfolio. If somebody sent me this and says, I just want to hold smart contracts, what do you think? I'd say that is absolutely spot on. I would say, however, maybe weight Ethereum higher. That would be my only suggestion. But that is a really solid portfolio. And again, Cardano makes up 20% of that. Is a 25-cent Cardano a good price to get into Cardano? Probably. Maybe I'll look at the Cardano chart Thursday maybe, and we'll have a look at where it is. I'm very good. I think I'm very good at picking bottoms, which sounds like something a monkey would do. But in terms of how far down we can come and getting into the what we call the kill zone is where you make a killing, and that's the zone where you should be looking to accumulate. And I think Cardano is heading down towards that. Either Cardano goes to 0, or it's in the next accumulation zone. And you have to decide, is Cardano going to survive? I think pretty much it is, even though it's 11th. Now, CZ signals Binance US expansion after SEC drops the 2023 lawsuit. This is more of a strategic thing to talk about rather than talking about the details of it. For Binance to not be in America, it doesn't make any sense at all. I understand back in the day, back in the Wild West days, you had the Wild West industry of crypto coming up against a very anti-crypto SEC. And the likes of Binance and many others came up against lawsuits, and they lost the majority of them. Obviously, XRP won and a few others won. And to be honest, CZ's nearly as old as me. Okay, I think he's only a couple of years younger than me. Although I clearly look a lot younger than I am. Okay, I'm clearly in my 30s by visually looking at me. CZ clearly looks like he's in his 60s. Even saying that, I would argue we're the same age. If I had the problems in America that CZ and Binance had, I'd be like, you know what? Just get out of here. Let's go. This is so much hassle. It's so much bad publicity. It's so much paperwork. It's so much in lawyer fees. It's going to cost us a fortune in fines because they're going to come after us and fine us, and we're going to lose because it's America and they're anti-crypto. I'd have done the same thing as CZ. I would not have fought them because you're going to lose. Why? Because you're not an American institution trying to do this. You're a non-American institution, so you're going to lose. Okay? XRP, born in America, won. Binance US didn't win. Irrespective of what evidence was trumped up, of what evidence was used, CZ was never going to win, okay? And that's, again, going back to what I said before, if this was about another exchange, I'd be saying the same thing. It's not the fact that we're on Binance, it's not the fact we're streaming there, it's the fact of right versus wrong. They were never going to win. They're now going back in. I think it's the right move. Why is the biggest exchange in the world not in America? That's the question that Donald Trump should be asking right now. Now, don't forget as well, the Trump family have a stake in Binance. That's something you need to be aware of. Number one, I think it was a 10% stake they bought in Binance last year, maybe. Number two, we've now got a completely different landscape in America. And what I said when Trump came in is we have 4 years before the Democrats probably win the next election and probably go slightly more anti-crypto. 4 years for them to come in and get all the ETFs in place, get all the banking licenses in place for the likes of Binance. I've said it many times before. Binance is going to become a bank. It's going to become an all-in-one financial product. It's not just going to offer crypto. You've seen them offer stocks. They're going to be offering banking and probably bank accounts in the future. They've got a card. They are 2 steps away from becoming a fully fledged financial institution. Where should you be doing that? America. So it makes perfect sense for them to go back in. Don't need to talk about that too much more because I think it's pretty straightforward and pretty obvious. The biggest place in the world to do crypto is America. Binance should be there. That's pretty much it. Right then, let me just check the stream is working. Are we up? Yes, we are. Right, let me just very quickly catch up with chat before we talk about World Liberty Financial. I feel like I'm defending people today. There's a lot of defending going on of companies, and I don't normally do that. Good morning, Navigator, or good afternoon. Navigator, there was a red box that dropped before the stream started. Faisal, could you go over Allo? We don't really do that kind of thing on here. I've invested in XRP since 2016. It was 191 when I bought. I wish I'd put more into Bitcoin, says Alicia. Just remember, okay, what we spoke about yesterday was investment. It was investment advice. It was an article. It wasn't my advice. It was an investment article. And it talked about diversification. And I talked about diversification. And you should have 60% of your portfolio in Bitcoin at minimum. And then everything else, BNB, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, you should have as a percentage of your portfolio. Now, the good thing is, if you're in XRP today, you have tracked Bitcoin on the way down. You're 50% down, so is Bitcoin. So you've won. If you're in Cardano, you're probably 80, 90% down. So having a portfolio that tracks mainly Bitcoin is the best advice. Is Bitcoin going to go down even more, says Machiavelli? Yes, it will, but maybe not today. It will go down between now and September, I believe, to 50,000. Other people say 55,000. Harris, good morning. Who else is here? Kim. There's plenty of people in chat. That's good. Nice to see. If Alicia, if you put the ticker of that token in chat, then I can go and have a look at it on a different stream. Can't say fairer than that. Right then, let's get back to the gossip, which is to do with this. Now, there seems to be a cabal. I love that word. Absolutely love that word. There is a cabal of crypto influencers who are being paid to try and ruin projects. Okay, that's trying to find the ways to say things without getting the stream turned off. So what I mean by that is, yesterday, probably just after the stream, we saw a concerted multiple tweet attack on USD1 and World Liberty Financial, and it was coordinated because they all tweeted at the same time. This is exactly the same as how CZ was attacked, how Binance was attacked, how other people are attacked. It's happened to other exchanges. I'm not going to mention their names, but I've seen things in the past. And it's concerted because it's the same message. It's like, you know, when Elon Musk puts up that video and it's all the different newsreaders and they're all saying the same thing and they all get overlaid and it's all something to do with, you know, a topic that they all want to say the same thing on. It's a lot like that. All the tweets read the same. Don't trust this project. This project is going to zero. I can't believe this is happening. They're not regulated. They're shysters, blah, blah, blah. That's what it said. And they were all the same thing. Some fairly big influencers said it at the same time. And one or two of the team's X accounts got hacked. I don't think Eric's got hacked. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is I've obviously done my research. Of course I have, because we've done a couple of streams now about World Liberty Financial. We've looked at the book. I'm an authorized, whatever it is, attestation expert. And they do that every month. So when you get some clown in a Pikachu hat telling you that USD1 is depegged because it's not backed by anything, they're idiots. Do your research. I don't do these streams, some of these streams for the good of my health. The same thing with Maple Finance. We talk about Maple Finance. You look at the numbers. You go and look at June to show you the real-time statistics. You go and look at the attestations. Now, don't get me wrong. If you go to the attestations and it shows they've got $3 billion and their market cap of their stablecoin is $5 billion, we've got a problem. Okay? That's what I mean by doing your research. I don't mean doing your research and finding out that it's not okay, but then carrying on. I mean, go and find out for yourself. Go and check it. It's on their website. So this has been a coordinated attack. Okay? It did lose its dollar peg by about 4 or 5 cents. And what have I said by this in the past? If a major coin, Circle or Tether, ever depegs, you're pretty much getting another 5% straight away. You buy $1,000, you wait for it to repeg, you sell it, you made $50. Can't say fairer than that. I wouldn't do it with a coin of $200 million, but I'd do a coin with 50 billion, 5 billion, 2 billion, absolutely. So, the hackers targeted several World Liberty Financial co-founders' accounts. They initiated massive shorts against the token, paid influencers to spread FUD. Again, that's what I noticed. The price of the token fell 7%. It does work, this, by the way. The stablecoin dipped I think it came down lower than that. See, 994 really isn't a D-peg, really. A D-peg for me is more than about 96 cents in the dollar. So it issued. So it's issued by the family. It didn't work thanks to D1's mint and redeem mechanism and full one-to-one backing. We are trading steadily at par. No scammer can shake the long-term commitment of the entire WLFI team and co-founders to USD1. Again, I don't want to spend too long talking about this. The point of the matter is, you don't believe the FUD that you read when it's all orchestrated. Now, what I would be doing is I would start an investigation, and I would find, I don't really care about the influencers that are saying these things. I would want to know who is behind the attack. The influencers are not behind the attack. The accounts have been hacked, so there should be a record with X of that attack, number one. And number two, who sent them the money to do this? That's important. The shillers are not important. If you believe the shillers, that's down to you. But this kind of stuff has to stop. It has to stop because it's not good for the industry. Okay? It wasn't good for the industry when they were attacking other people. We've seen Charles be attacked. Charles stole $500 million or $1.2 billion. He stole it. That went around like wildfire. What did Charles do? Charles went and got an external person to prove that he didn't take a cent. And guess what? The articles now still show Charles recently accused of stealing $1 billion. That's the headline. That should not be allowed. It's immoral. Okay? And it will happen to you. Happen to some other people if you're in the spotlight. It's unfair. Now then, nobody in chat, I'm very disappointed with you. Which one are you picking? Doge or Sol? Just type Doge or Sol in chat. That's all you've got to do. If I gave you $1,000 today, which one would you buy? Sol or Doge? Just let me know in chat. Yeah, exactly. Sol, of course, says Alicia. Kishan says Sol. Ninchu says Sol. I think we're all pretty much in agreement. Mag says Sol as well. I am clearly going to pick Sol. Jesus is Lord has said Sol. I think we're all in agreement, aren't we? I think we're all in agreement that we would say Sol. Now, this is the strangest comparison that I would have thought of. Now, Gary, it's Gary Ponce again. Oh, somebody needs to contact Gary Ponce and explain to him that he needs to change his surname, okay? Because where I'm from, which is England, okay, Ponce can't be said out loud, okay, because it's a massive insult. And the stream could be cut off for me saying Gary Ponce, by the way. Anyway, Gary P, we'll call him. Gary P's put Doge against Sol. Now, what would I do? I'd put Ethereum against Sol. That would be a fair balance. I'd put XRP against HBAR. I would put maybe Ondo against Syrup, an RWA one. In AI, I would put Near against FET or Near against Render, and that would be, I think, a good battle. This is like putting a prime Mike Tyson in a ring with Homer Simpson. That's what this is. And that's a really good analogy because Sol is Mike Tyson and Doge is clearly a meme coin, which is clearly Homer Simpson. Now, you imagine what would happen if Mike Tyson got in a ring with Homer Simpson. You imagine what would happen. Now, should we see what this article is about? Dogecoin relies heavily on sentiment, driven by the fact that Elon Musk once said that he was going to hold Doge or talk to the Doge team and stuff like that. And I actually had some kind of hopium for Doge way back when they were going to turn it from proof of work to proof of stake. They were going to basically slash the rewards for it, and I had some hope for it. I've got no hope for Doge anymore. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist in the top 10. Shouldn't be in the top 20. It's trash, in my humble opinion, not financial advice. Let's have a look. Why Dogecoin model works against you. It's got brand recognition. The spikes are unpredictable. It has no maximum supply. Okay, 5 billion Doge are minted every year. Now, does this or does this not sound like the dollar or the euro or the pound, where somebody can just go out and make an extra $1 trillion, $2 trillion, just press a button? That's what Doge is. It's just being minted into infinity. So how is the price ever going to hold up? How is the market cap ever going to hold up? It's not. Emissions are the one thing that will kill your bag. Now, if emissions on a token are 5% and you can stake it and get 7%, then you're up 2% in the long term. Doge has no maximum supply and you can't stake it because it's proof of work. So that's okay. Dilution. Let's just keep it at that one. Solana. It's of course a smart contract layer. It's fast. It's cheap. It's quick. It's got TVL, stable coins, all that kind of good stuff. On February the 19th, Solana-based applications generated more than 3.4 million in revenue. Developers are building, users are interacting, capital is circulating inside the ecosystem. People buy Sol because they need to transact, deploy contracts, or interact. Now, this is the decision. Let's see what Gary P has gone for. If the goal is positioning rather than hoping, Solana stands out not because it's perfect, not because it can't fall further, but because it has a real ongoing reason for people to buy and use it, and in crypto, sustained demand usually wins. Again, probably one of the most pointless articles I've ever read, but important for people to understand. Doge is trash. And somehow, it's still in the top 10. Somehow, it still has a $15.4 billion market cap. There is 169 billion Doge. 5 billion a year is an increase of about 3% a year for infinity, forever, until it gets shut down. BNB has 136 million BNB, and they are burning about 3% of that a year. So do you want to hold BNB or do you want to hold Doge? You will want to hold BNB. And in all honesty, pitting BNB against Solana would also be a great battle. And again, for tokenomics, I would say the price of BNB in the long term will go up over Solana because Solana is still in its emissions phase, if that makes sense. Anyway, that was I quite like that. Now then, the last article of the day, because we are not here to play games, we are here to take over. We are going to have a look at this. Now, again, what time is it? 11:59, is that? Right, okay, don't have a lot of time. This was a 2022 collapse. UST, which was the stable coin of Tether, was backed by a coin called Luna. Luna at one point was running up, was it $30, $60, $90? Then it went into what's called a death spiral. And that death spiral caused Terra's stablecoin to depeg. I think it fell to about 70 cents for a while, and then it went to pretty much zero. And Luna went to 0.00001. It was the biggest, for me, the biggest collapse in 2022. For me, this was bigger than FTX. FTX was more high profile, but I think the long-term damage for me was this. I just think this was terrible. Now, Jane Street is quite a big company in America who Terraform have now got evidence to suggest there was insider trading and shorted and basically pushed through the collapse of the stablecoin. And there's a lot of evidence, which, again, this is still an open court case. There's no right or wrong yet until the case has come to fruition. But apparently Jane Street was on board to help bail out Terra. I keep saying Tether. Terra. And what they did was they took the confidential information and shorted. So they tried to bail them out. They said they were going to bail them out, and then they took the information and shorted them. And they basically destroyed Terra, according to this, and it hasn't been proven in court yet. Now, again, I don't believe that this is going to be sorted out anytime soon. And this wasn't on my bingo card for 2026 either. But the other thing that this highlights is this right here. So it collapsed. $40 billion disappeared. Terra still had billions in the bank. What did the SEC do? The SEC took $4.5 billion off them. So 10 cents in the dollar that could have gone to the people that held Luna and held what's it called? UST, I think it was called. Instead of giving them that 10 cents in the dollar, they drained the entire company. So again, in my humble opinion, the SEC should never have taken a cent, and that money should have been gone to go back to retail. But that is why Gary Gensler is a bad actor for me. That's immoral, and the fines were punitive. You're fining a company that has $4.5 billion left. You're fining them $4.5 billion. You're draining them dry, and retail takes it. And the SEC's sole purpose in life is to protect retail. So again, that's why I was so annoyed about it. Now, Do Kwon has got 15 years in prison. I don't believe he will serve that time. I don't believe he's going to be in for 15 years. He might do 5. But anyway, that is the end of the show. Now, Mags asked me today if I was streaming tomorrow, and I am not streaming tomorrow. We have a very busy schedule we did 2 streams yesterday, a stream today. Wednesdays are being left purposely clear so we can do any other type of stream that we need to do. So if we need to do a stream on Maple Finance or a stream on World Liberty Financial, or if we need to go and talk about something else, or we need to do a quiz night, Wednesdays are being kept clear for now to be able to do any of those things. Tomorrow I've got a meeting at, I think, 10 o'clock in the morning anyway, which you won't be able to get back for. Thursday, we have 3 things happening on Thursday. I'm streaming at 11. The Oracle is streaming at 2. And then at 6 is the interview with the person I can't say the name of. So Thursday's busy. And then Friday I'm streaming. Saturday, there's 2 streams as well. I'm streaming on Maple Finance on Saturday, and the Oracle is streaming at 2 o'clock on Saturday. So pretty much Wednesdays and Sundays this week, Wednesday and Sunday this week, there's only 2 days we've got off. And as you know, I make videos on those days anyway. So it's pretty much full time, 7 days a week. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to the guys over on that channel I can't say the name of. Thank you to everyone who is watching on Binance Square. Very quickly, I'm going to check what people have been said. Alicia, I don't think their network can even handle high volumes, while Sol is one of the best. Absolutely. Totally agree, Alicia. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right as well. So thank you all for watching. You're all wonderful people. I will see you all on Thursday. I am going to go and record a couple of videos now. Take care. Have a great Wednesday. Man United won last night away at Everton. Wasn't the best performance, but it was a solid win. And the stream had 2 flickers. So although it's not solved, I think it's a massive improvement. So thank you, everybody, and I will see you all on Thursday. Ciao.